Well, how's that? Proof again that Mike's on his own. Welcome to Profiling Evil Live. It's great to be with you all. We're waiting to see if the prosecution is successful in getting a special prosecutor, Rachel Smith, appointed. And it is still just sitting out there waiting to happen. So we'll keep monitoring that, but I thought we may as well jump on. I've been waiting for 15 minutes for him to come on, but I figured it would be a great chance for us to visit. Rachel White, new member, thank you for joining up. And to my dear mods, thank you so much. I'm so sorry that I wasn't able to give you any notice that we were doing this. I happened to have a break in my work schedule and thought I'd just jump on and see what was happening. And so please forgive me, mods. Miss Sophia, great to see you. Gem Cat, thank you so much for being here. And maybe we can just talk a little bit, answer a few questions while we're waiting to see if they pop in. Gwen Moody from Oklahoma, great to see you. Michelle Morris, Joey Faith, thanks everybody for coming on. Linda Hansen, Christy C, Ann Chenoweth, Kitty Laughlin, hi back to you. It's great to see you. And Melon Bug 6, I hope you can hear me now. I think I got that fixed. Oh, it looks like a couple of you were weighing in. Sorry about that, but we're back in business. Mimi J2, how are you? And a shout out to Four Sons Mom. Hope all is well, and thanks for the info on knowing what's going on there. Janai B, hello. This has been interesting. I hope you caught my public record a few days ago about Rachel Smith and Rob Wood asking for Rachel Smith. I thought maybe we could talk a little bit about her and why this is so important, this hearing today. Let me just tell you a little bit about Rachel. And I'm taking this information from the Prosecutor Center for Excellence website. Many of you have probably already been there. Rachel Smith is a 25-year veteran prosecutor. She has her undergraduate degree, a Bachelor of Arts from Washington College. She graduated from Washington University Law School in '92. And she worked, had along the way work as, I am assuming a paralegal or assistant in a law firm. By '93, she was an assistant circuit attorney in St. Louis. And folks, the St. Louis region, what a great place to cut her teeth and learn about criminal prosecutions. Holy cow, that is one busy neck of the woods. Let's see. Apple Brooks, great to see you. Swede She, sorry. True Crime Nut, Deb S, Cat's Eye, Doll L, Anastasia Hirisho from Arizona. I hope I didn't massacre that too bad. Spindup, Tracy Cheap Mom, Susan Mamo, thanks. I'm going to just see if there are any questions popping up right away, but we'll keep monitoring this and hope that they come in and give us some information. But let's go back and talk a little more about Rachel Smith. She started working in that St. Louis office where she learned to prosecute criminal cases and prosecuted criminal cases at every level, investigating hundreds more than she prosecuted. For about a 3-year period of time, she worked in the Attorney General's office in Missouri. So again, having worked in an Attorney General's office, I'm thrilled to see that she also has that experience working with agencies of all sizes across the state. It was there that she had primary responsibility to travel the state of Missouri and handle capital homicide cases. Those are cases where there's a death penalty and an attempt for execution. So those are really big deals. She also worked public corruption cases and other kinds of cases along the way. So she comes to this with a ton of experience and is a great move for them. Misty Shoemate, hello from Idaho, just down the road from the Daybell clan, which is going to get awfully busy come this summer when the trial starts up. John Edwards calling from the UK. Great to see you folks here. So Mimi J2, yeah, another lawyer. Rob Wood has requested to have a lawyer, unless there's another one that I'm not aware of right now. The request before the court and the purpose of this hearing is to get permission for Rachel Smith to practice law in the state of Idaho. So it's kind of a rule-based decision where they introduce to the court. They say they'll be working under the umbrella of lawyers who are in the Idaho bar, but they want a special classification giving her the authority to operate as a lawyer in the Daybell case or any cases that roll out as a result of that, including, and they said some very specific language, including any investigation that is ongoing that results in additional charges, which I think is the thing that has so many people's attention right now. Rachel also worked in a circuit attorney's office as a member of the executive staff where she was the chief prosecutor. She's been in community affairs. She's assisted in office administration. I mean, she's got the full package, and she's currently a special assistant circuit attorney handling special project investigations, homicide cases, things like that. One of the things that I think is a benefit that Rob Wood was asking for is that she also can bring a level of training to the current prosecutors in his office. And so they're leaning on her experience academically, training, boots in the, down in the trenches. And she has taught courses on things like use of force, force management, ethics, communications, law enforcement relationships, community prosecution and relations, constitutional law, criminal law, evidence collection, homicide best practice, homicide prosecution best practice, trial preparation. I mean, this is going to be a real boon for them to have her on board. But let's go now. It looks like they're starting up. Hang on. We have the defense. Oh, now here's Judge Boyce, so it'll get started.
All right, I think we're ready to go on the record here. This is cases CR 22-2755, State versus Chad Guy Daybell. Mr. Daybell is represented by Attorney John Pryor, and Fremont County case CR 22-2838, State versus Lori Noreen Daybell B.O.L.O, who's represented by Mr. Means. Before the court today is a motion for pro hac vice admission of an out-of-state counsel filed by the state. We took up some housekeeping matters prior to this hearing, and based on our discussions, the motion was filed in both cases for pro hac vice admission. Court's going to reserve argument or ruling on the issue in regards to the Lori Noreen Daybell B.O.L.O case, which is the 838 case, and we will go forward with the motion as it relates to Mr. Daybell. So, Mr. Pryor, as we get started, I know your client is not here attending this hearing. Have you discussed his right to attend the hearing today?
I did, Judge. I spoke with him first thing this morning, had a conversation with him, and at this point, we're going to go forward without his attendance, Your Honor.
All right, and he waives the right to be present for the hearing today then?
Yes, he does, Judge.
Very well. I will note that we are conducting this hearing by Zoom with our ongoing COVID-19 order that governs how we conduct these proceedings. We're also recording this by the FTR system in Fremont County, Idaho, as well as it's being reported by the court reporter, and it's also being live streamed on the court's official YouTube channel. So as I mentioned, there is a motion for pro hac vice admission of a Rachel Smith that's been filed by the state. I reviewed the motion and the proposed order, and I did have a few questions on that. As we get started, Mr. Wood, I guess maybe one way to start is to just have me address a couple of the questions I had on the motion to get started, since it is typically just a pro forma motion, and then I'll hear your responses, and then Mr. Pryor, I'll let you respond. So one of the issues in looking at the motion, Mr. Wood, under the Idaho Bar Commission Rule 227, that governs our pro hac vice admissions in Idaho. And one of the requirements is that the attorney seeking to be involved in the case would need to, under Part A2, currently maintain an ongoing law practice in another jurisdiction. So I didn't see that information provided in the motion, and the court would need to have some information whether or not this attorney has an ongoing law practice in another jurisdiction at this time.
Okay, I can verify that yes, Ms. Smith does have an ongoing practice in Missouri. She practiced for many years in both St. Louis Circuit Prosecutor's Office and then in the Attorney General's office in Missouri. She now has a private practice firm. A large part of what she does is special prosecutions and then helping prosecutors on cases. And so, yes, she does have an ongoing law practice and is in good standing in the state of Missouri.
Okay, I did see the information that she's has paid the fee and filed the certificate of good standing with the state of Idaho. I just wanted to make sure that requirement was met with, so I would ask that you submit a supplement to the admission that complies with that Rule 8.2, where she, and I appreciate your representation, she does, but where Ms. Smith can confirm that she maintains an ongoing practice, as you mentioned. The other issue I wanted to bring up, and then I'll hear again from you and Mr. Pryor if we need to, but there's an issue I see here where she could be admitted under the pro hac admission rules. In this case, you're appointed as a special prosecutor under Idaho Code 312603 to prosecute a case in Fremont County. And where Ms. Smith would be coming on, I guess I'd like some clarification. Is she going to be obviously prosecuting in the case? And if so, has Fremont County been consulted, and have they agreed that she should be also appointed as well as a special prosecutor. And typically when we do these orders, the terms of the appointment also include payment arrangements that the county's agreed to. So just based on your being appointed as a special prosecutor, I wanted to get to that issue before we got too far into the process, knowing being admitted under 227 ProHack gets you a limited license to practice in Idaho for a specific case. But then on that issue of appointment of a special prosecutor, I wondered if you had discussed that with Fremont County or not.
Your Honor, we didn't discuss it with Fremont County. She's being appointed to help the Madison County prosecutor as a special prosecutor in the case. We've discussed it with Madison County. They're funding it. And so we did not speak directly with the Fremont County commissioners on that.
Okay. And I guess that issue then, this case is, as I mentioned, it's Fremont County case CR 22-2755. That's the case before the court and the case I'm presiding over. So any admission by this would be to this case. And as I understand the bar rule also, it's a case-by-case admission. So an attorney admitted ProHack on one case does not necessarily enjoy ProHack status for admission in another case. And I think that would require separate application. So in other words, the scope of any order would be specific as to the case I just mentioned, Mr. Daybell's case under the 755 heading, and it wouldn't be an appointment for any other matter.
Okay.
Okay. So those are the concerns I just had on the motion. Is there anything you'd like to say in additional support of the motion, Mr. Wood?
No, Your Honor, I think the motion speaks for itself. This is a very complicated case. The amount of discovery, as we've talked about, is it's very, very large. There's a lot of information, and so we're seeking to have her help on this case through the Madison County Prosecutor's Office, appointed as special prosecutor. Other than that, Your Honor, I think the motion just speaks for itself.
All right, thank you, Mr. Wood. Mr. Pryor, your response to the motion for the ProHack PC admission of Rachel Smith?
Judge, you addressed the very issues that I had concerns with as well. You were astute enough to recognize the two things that I find problematic. One, that this is a Fremont County case. And as a Fremont County case, Mr. Wood, obviously, if his prosecutor's office wants to retain people to help him with his caseload, he has every right to seek whatever resources he wants to do that. And he can obviously hire anybody he wants. He's the chief prosecutor in Madison County. But this court identified the very issue of the ProHack rule, and the ProHack rule is case specific. And as a case specific rule, he does not get to enlarge, retain someone and say, you're going to handle all of my cases, and you're going to train my staff, and you're going to teach us how to properly prosecute cases. That's not something that he's prevented from doing. But in this particular case, he's prevented from having Ms. Smith participate unless Fremont County gives them their blessing, and that they're agreeing that Ms. Smith may come on, that Ms. Smith may participate this, because he's not the Madison County prosecutor in this case. He's the Fremont County special prosecutor, and he's a representative of Fremont County at this point. And at this point, it's Fremont County that's going to make the decision whether Ms. Smith shall be allowed to do this on this particular case in this particular situation. Now, what Mr. Wood chooses to do with his other cases, that's up to him. And for all practical purposes, Judge, this ProHack motion is fine as long as Fremont County signs off on it. And if Fremont County signs off on it and approves this, then we can go down this road. The other issue I have is this, Judge. I've done some research on Ms. Smith, and the information I have, and I don't want to suggest that my information is complete, but the information I have is that she's a consulting firm and that she does not have an active practice. Now, she's licensed in Missouri, but I need some sort of declaration from Ms. Smith saying, yes, I'm actually practicing law in the state of Missouri. And if she does that, then that issue is resolved. If she has an active law practice in Missouri, by all means, let's move forward. But those are the two things that I think we need to resolve before this court even considers signing an order. So my suggestion at this point, Judge, is Mr. Wood filed a supplemental information from Fremont County saying they're okay with this. Ms. Smith filed a supplemental declaration saying, I am licensed, practiced in Missouri, and I have an active law practice, whether that's criminal defense, whether that's prosecutorial work, whatever the nature of that practice is. And those issues are resolved at this point. And then obviously, if Mr. Wood wants to bring in someone to assist him or needs help in how to prosecute a case of this nature, by all means, he has every right to do that. But those two things need to be resolved, Judge, and I appreciate the court identifying those. I didn't mean to be so verbose, but I do want to set my feelings on this. It's not necessarily an objection as much as it is, let's get the proper housekeeping taken care of before this court signs an order.
All right, thank you. Mr. Wood, do you have anything further to offer in support of the motion?
Yes, Your Honor. As the appointed special prosecutor, I'm allowed to prosecute this case as I see fit. I'm not asking Fremont County for the money to hire Ms. Smith. And as such, I don't think the court needs to make a finding that I've gotten it approved for the Fremont County Commissioners. If I were, I'm not being compensated for this case. If we were asking them for money, I could see that being an issue. We're not. So we're fine with an order limiting the her admission to this case. I actually have Ms. Smith is here with me right now. I can have her make a declaration to the court of her law practice, or if the court would prefer that in writing, we can do that as well.
Well, if she's here and available to testify, I think that's probably the most efficient way to do that. Good afternoon, Ms. Smith. This is Judge Boyce. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, Your Honor. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. All right. I've considered the application for Pro Hac Vici admission. Prosecutor indicates you'd be willing to make a statement to testify in this hearing regarding your qualifications. Are you prepared to do that?
Absolutely.
All right. If you would do me the favor then of raising your right hand, I'll have the clerk please place Ms. Smith under oath.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in the cause now pending will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Smith, this will be brief, but under our Pro Hac Vici admission rule in Idaho, Bar Commission Rule 227, there's a requirement that you currently maintain an ongoing law practice in another jurisdiction. Can you advise the court whether or not you in fact maintain an ongoing law practice in another jurisdiction?
Yes, Your Honor. I maintain a law practice primarily involving special prosecutions. I am a special prosecutor or an appointed prosecutor assisting at least 2 counties in the state of Missouri. I also consult both on legal matters and on legal training from multiple other jurisdictions. I also have a small civil practice in the state of Missouri. I do not do any criminal defense work, as in Missouri, that would be a conflict of interest. So I do no criminal defense, but I am an appointed prosecutor or special prosecutor, and that is my primary practice.
Okay, thank you. And so you're currently the attorney of record in some pending cases, is that correct?
Yes, Judge.
All right, the court is satisfied with that representation, then that Rule 227E2 is met for the purpose of the Pro Hac Vici request for admission. And thank you for the testimony, Ms. Smith. Counsel, regarding the issue of whether or not Fremont County needs to be involved in this, again, I'm just looking at Idaho Code 312603, which governs the appointment of a special prosecutor, and the order of appointment in this case was entered. Give me a moment. Well, it was entered obviously appointing you as the prosecutor for this Fremont County case from Madison County, Mr. Wood. And I guess the question I do have is, the order appointed the Madison County Prosecutor's Office. And so it is specific as to the scope of that appointment. So in my mind, Ms. Smith can be admitted, but in order to be on the case would need to either be a deputy of your office or part of your office, or else receive a special appointment again from Fremont County. If you think there's some other authority out there that says otherwise, I'm open to listening to that. I'm just looking at the rule for special appointment of a prosecutor under 312603, and it is a housekeeping matter, but I think it's important to note that the attorney in a case has got the proper authority to act as a prosecutor. So do you have any additional comments on that?
Your Honor, I see that very much akin to her being appointed as pro hoc vice, is very much the same thing as me deputizing an attorney to help in a case. I think that's, I really don't see a difference between the two. I think under my special appointment as a prosecutor on this case, that would give me the authority to bring in someone pro hoc vice, and essentially deputize her once she receives that status.
Okay, and that is probably another approach to it, because I would note that that statute says once you're on the case, then the person so appointed has all the powers of the prosecuting attorney while so acting as such in the case. So if that's your plan going forward, if she'll be active in the case, then I just ask for you to submit a declaration with the court that she's been deputized, and I think that would satisfy the issue of her acting under your special prosecutor status for the matter.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Pryor, we went through some things there. I didn't really give you an opportunity to respond. Is there anything you'd like to say?
No, Judge, I agree with the court's analysis.
Okay, if you'll follow up with that then, Mr. Wood, with that, the court's satisfied on the pro hoc vice admission, and I'll sign an order to that effect. And regarding the special prosecutor issue, if you just want to supplement with that, I'll watch for that to be filed in the case, Mr. Wood.
We will get that done right away. Thank you.
Thank you. Council, our next hearing is going to be on April 7th for what's scheduled as a status conference. If council has other motions they'd like to bring up at that time, that can be timely filed and heard. I've got time that afternoon just for planning purposes. With that in mind, Mr. Pryor, is there anything else we need to bring up on behalf of your client today?
Not at this time, Your Honor. Thank you.
You're welcome. Mr. Wood, anything further?
No, thank you very much.
All right, Mr. Means, anything further from you this afternoon?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, thanks everyone. Appreciate your attendance, and we will be in recess.
Hey, well, there you go. That's pretty good news. Let's recap a couple of things I wrote down here that I think might be worth talking about. And let me just see if anyone has a burning question here that you are asking. Now, I know that some of you get pretty frustrated with the defense. This is really good stuff because it needs to happen to ensure that the defendants in the case have a fair trial. And what we don't want is for anyone to have any reason to overthrow, if it happens, a conviction. So it's really good that they're doing all this. And frankly, I just think that the defense attorneys are doing a great job of doing what defense attorneys do, which is to also turn over every stone and make sure that their clients are taken care of and protected in every single way. So keep in mind that the best news about all of this is that the judge is being very careful. He's making sure that everything is legally sound so that there are fewer things for people to challenge in an appeal after what, if they're guilty, we would hope results in a conviction. So 12-step woman, co-prosecutor, if I'm understanding correctly. I don't know that I caught the lead into that, but let's go through this. What Mr. Wood is asking for is a special prosecutor. Now, he is called as a special prosecutor because he is from the Madison County attorney's office. The offense happened in Fremont County, and Fremont County has asked for Wood to be appointed to oversee this case. So he's been given jurisdiction to prosecute this case. Now, that's why it becomes a little bit muddy, and what the judge was trying to do today is that he has now requested to have a special prosecutor join him, Rachel Smith, who has over 100 homicide prosecutions under her belt. She's prosecuted capital offenses, which mean cases that can go to the death penalty. She's incredibly experienced, and he's asked for her help in prosecuting this case, which is a great move because he indicated in his comments, and if you go back to my earlier video from a few days ago, I talk about this. The thing that's so interesting to me and so compelling about today's discussion is that he indicates in his letter to the court asking for her to serve as special counsel that anything that's uncovered in the investigations and that may lead to additional charges, that she would also be able to prosecute those. So it really brings us hope that there are more things coming down the pike in regard to this case. But today's meeting was to say, can she actually come in and practice law in the state of Idaho and be admitted temporarily to the Idaho bar? So Judge Boyce brought up two concerns that he has. The first is that that Smith has a private practice in Missouri, because there is a requirement under the rules to allow her to practice that says she has to be practicing law. The second was he asked if Fremont County had agreed to this. And man, I was just assuming they had. And you heard Prosecutor Woods say, no, they haven't been approached about this. And he's, of course, assuming that it's his responsibility and his right to select a special prosecutor to work under him. And I'm going to circle back to that in just a minute. But Wood made it very clear that Madison County is funding this special prosecutor position, and that he saw no need in having to go back to Fremont County and ask for permission, and if they would agree to that. Now, the judge then turned to Mr. Pryor, the defense attorney, who just, I don't know, I guess had to be heard. And he said, Judge, you've addressed all my concerns, but I'm going to go on and restate them all one more time. And he went through those same things again, saying, quote, Fremont County needs to give its blessing on this. And so he was able to go through, get some press time with the judge, and then say that he agreed with everything that he was saying. He also brought up the fact that he said Smith is primarily a consulting company, and he didn't feel like she fit the requirement of being a practicing attorney. Mr. Wood came back and said, again, I'm not asking Fremont County to pay. Madison's paying for her. We're not asking for reimbursement, and it's going to help us in a number of ways. But then this was the coolest part. He had Smith sitting with him in his office, and he said, hey, Judge, if you'd like, let's just have her get on and tell you what's going on, and she can tell you whether she's practicing law. And so the judge has the clerk put her under oath. After she swears to tell the truth, he says, are you practicing law? And she responds, I'm maintaining an ongoing law practice. I consult on legal matters all the time. I do small civil kinds of litigation. So she's practicing in her office is open to handle civil cases. She said it would be an ethics violation if I were doing criminal, since I'm supporting criminal prosecutions throughout the state. And then she said, finally, I'm also the attorney of record on several prosecutions that are ongoing. And the judge said, perfect. It's all I need. You certainly meet the requirements. But he then turns to Wood and says, she needs to be deputized, and Fremont County needs to do that. And Wood argues back, if I got this right, no, I'm the prosecutor. If I determine that she's going to be helping on the case, she's deputized by virtue of Madison County. And I think the judge agreed to that. Prior then agreed. Means had nothing to say because his client, Lori B.O.L.O, was not the primary focus of this, but frankly, probably just agreeing with whatever Prior's saying. And then the judge reminds everyone that April 7th will be the next hearing. So there you go. Let me just see if there are a few questions here, and then we'll call it a day. And by the way, I want to remind you all, we're going to kind of retool choir practice a little bit and get back to what the original intent was of just getting some cops on, talking about cases, laughing a little bit, and reserving other time during the week to maybe put up a case that we're working on, to do the public record, and other kinds of things. So please, I hope you'll attend choir practice tonight. Make sure bring your Diet Dr. Peppers and show up and participate tonight. I think we're going to have a good one tonight. I actually have Sheriff Arbin coming on, and we're going to talk about the spa shootings in Atlanta and in the Georgia area. And we're going to talk about that spree killer. And if you caught my thing this week or the end of last week, I really made a point of trying to correct what inappropriately is being called a mass shooting. This is not a mass shooter. This is a spree killer. And it very perfectly fits the spree killer identification and characteristics that Special Agent Mark Safrick lined out in his new book and when he was on Profiling Evil a few weeks ago. And we'll get Mark back, but he's in the middle of a case that he's helping the prosecution on right now. So he's kind of up to his eyeballs in work. But anyway, so make sure you come to choir practice tonight. We're also going to talk about this case a little bit, but then I'm going to just chat with Sheriff Arbin, and we're going to have Michelle McPhee back. If you remember, this amazing journalist who has written a couple of books on the Boston Marathon bombing. She's also written the book Mob Over Miami. An amazing author, amazing journalist, and an amazing talk show host. And Michelle's going to come on because she sent 3 copies of her books on Boston bombing to give away tonight. So we're going to give away those books during the show tonight, beginning at 6 o'clock Mountain Time. So let's see here. Miss Sophia, let's see. Oh, it looks like you're responding to a couple people. And again, thank you, Mimi J2, Miss Sophia, all of our mods. Thank you so much. Yeah, this was a good day, I think, because that prosecutor, having her sitting in the wings was awesome, wasn't it? When she was able to get up and say, yeah, I've done this, and this, and I can check all the boxes. And she's going to be a great addition to this case and this prosecution. So Yosemite Jen says, Miss Smith blew those silly boys away. Yeah, you guys crack me up. Kathy, if my dimples are getting bigger, it only means I'm losing weight. So bless you, because the fatter I get, the less they appear. So I'm trying to fight the COVID food surge. Let's see. Well, I think that probably covers it. Let's just make sure you all show up for choir practice tonight. This is great news. We'll let this go. If you didn't catch it, Mapping Evil, episode 4, Twilight Zones, just came out about an hour ago. Go to your favorite podcast platform and look for Mapping Evil by Mike King. And while you're there, also subscribe, please, to Profiling Evil, where we've been doing some great interviews. This week, it's been with Vinnie Politan of Court TV. And I think you're actually going to hear from Vinnie tonight at choir practice for a minute. And then I'll be on with Vinnie and Chris and I will be on Wednesday, I think, again this week. So just want you to know how much I appreciate you all, appreciate your support. There's some big things coming in May. I think the Profiling Evil team has been requested by a sheriff to come out and look at a case and maybe talk about it and put some publicity out on it. So watch for more to come on that as well. And we'll see you all tonight, 6 o'clock Mountain Time. Please don't miss it. And we'll all get together for choir practice. What is choir practice? You know, initially in the 70s, choir practice kind of spun up at the Los Angeles Police Department. And the way it actually started, according to urban legend, is that one of the police officers who didn't want to tell everybody, let's go to a bar and drink. Now, that's coming from a guy who doesn't drink, by the way. But instead of getting on the radio and saying, hey, we're going to meet for drinks tonight after the shift, he got on the air and he said, hey, choir practice at 11:30 when the shift's over. And everyone knew that they were going to meet at a certain bar and they were going to talk about all the things that happened on that crazy shift that they were on, the challenges they were facing, some of the stressors they were facing. And that spun up and became choir practice for law enforcement. So when we created this channel and thought, let's get together with cops and just talk about the cool things they do, we thought, what better name than Profiling Evil Choir Practice, where we just kick back a little bit. So again, we're going to kind of change the way we're doing things and get a little more just relaxed and have some fun on choir practice. So we'll see you tonight at choir practice, 6 o'clock Mountain Time. And thanks again, everybody. Have a great day.